In today's episode, we delve into the harrowing tale of Ginger Meadows, a woman from Snowmass Village, Colorado, who found herself in a deadly encounter with the saltwater crocodile while on holiday in Australia. The renowned model and beauty queen had been seeking an escape from a marriage that had lost its spark. Drawn to the untamed wilderness of northern Australia, Meadows would quickly become enamored by the crocodile country she'd experienced while watching the 1986 blockbuster Crocodile Dundee. And while to many her decision to jump into a tidal pool in the face of a crocodile seems reckless at first glance, a closer look at the details of her story went on to lead many to question whether they'd perhaps do the same had they been in her place on that fateful day. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new. You're watching When Crocodiles Attack. In the latter part of 1987, Ginger Meadows found herself in the vibrant city of Fremantle, located on the West Australian coast. The city was buzzing with excitement as Australia was gearing up to defend the America's Cup for the first time since its historic victory in 1983. Meadows, enamored by the enthusiasm of the yacht-obsessed city, would enjoy the atmosphere for some time before embarking on the next leg of her Australian adventure. Her journey eventually took her aboard the Lady G, a 33-meter luxury cruiser that was more like a floating palace than a boat. The crew, a motley group consisting of Captain Bruce Fitzpatrick, Chef Jane Burchett, Engineer Steve Hilton, and stewardess Madeline Janes, charted a course from Perth to Darwin. The route led them to the mouth of Prince Regent River, a remote spot on the north coast of Kimberley, about as far from Derby as one could get without leaving the earth. The river was a spectacle in itself, boasting a stunning freshwater waterfall and a rather intimidating population of saltwater crocodiles. The crew ventured up the river in a smaller boat, more specifically known as a tender, to explore the region. They discovered the majestic King's Cascade, a multi-tiered waterfall resembling a grand wedding cake with a refreshing tidal pool at its base, an idyllic spot that beckoned its visitors for a swim. From the lush tropical rainforests and the expansive wetlands to the arid savannas, these habitats provide a haven for a multitude of species. Kangaroos and wallabies, with their distinctive hopping locomotion, are a common sight, and the skies are filled with a variety of bird species, each of which boast their unique songs and plumage. The region is also home to a wide array of reptiles and insects, each playing a crucial role in the ecosystem. Amongst its inhabitants, however, it's one in particular that reigns supreme: the saltwater crocodile. With no natural predators, these formidable creatures sit atop the food chain in the majority of ecosystems that they inhabit. They can grow up to 7 meters or 23 feet in length and weigh up to 1,000 kilograms or 2,200 pounds. And not to mention they possess the most powerful jaws in the animal kingdom, with a bite force capable of reaching 3,700 pounds per square inch. As Fitzpatrick maneuvered the boat close to the falls, the crew disembarked onto the ledge to explore. Sometime later, the captain then took the boat upriver to capture some photographs, leaving Meadows and Burchett at the base of the waterfall. The two women began to climb the cliff when Meadows realized that she had left her camera behind, which is when they would decide to swim back to the boat to retrieve it. It's important to note that Captain Fitzpatrick had warned Meadows and her friends about the dangers of these notoriously crocodile-infested waters. He had mentioned first-hand accounts he'd had with some of the largest crocs imaginable, warning them about the danger of swimming in the water. But Meadows was so driven by her adventurous spirit that she would nevertheless decide to take a dip in the enticing waters of the Cascades. As Meadows and Burchett swam back across the pool towards the rock ledge, Fitzpatrick, who had climbed halfway up the cliff, would spot them in the water, which is when just moments later his heart would skip a beat when he'd also abruptly notice an approximately 3 to 4 meter long salty rise from below the water surface not far away from them. He'd then shout a panicked warning at the top of his lungs, but it was clear that it was too late. The women found themselves trapped in waist-deep water on a ledge, with their backs against a solid wall of rock, and with the crocodile just meters in front of them, blatantly prepared to strike. In a desperate attempt to scare the creature away, Meadows' friend would then throw her shoe at the crocodile on a whim, distracting it for merely a moment or two, a respite short-lived. It was at this time that Meadows misread the moment as an opportunity to escape. She'd let go of Burchett's arm in an attempt to swim to a dry bank, which is when the agile reptile swiftly lunged at Meadows, clamping its jaws around her waist, and in an instant Meadows was pulled from a ledge she'd attempted to cling onto and violently dragged into the deeper, murkier parts of the water. The surface churned for a moment, then eerily stilled, leaving only ripples spreading across the blood-red patch of water. The days following the tragedy were fraught with challenges. The tedious search for Meadows' remains began on the day of the attack, which was Sunday, March 29th, but was abruptly halted due to high tides and mechanical difficulties with the Lady G. It wasn't until the first light of Monday that the search operation resumed. Meadows' mutilated remains were located on a swath of tidal flats, approximately a kilometer from the location of the fatal encounter. However, even an incident that happened during this time would manage to make headlines. The solemn task of transporting her remains up the river in a modest 7-meter boat was marred by a chilling incident. A 3.5-meter crocodile, in a display of audacity, lunged from the water as the body was being transported, its jaws latching onto the body bag and ripping it open. The creature was, however, deterred by a gunshot that managed to scare it back into the murky depths of the river. Meadows' estranged husband, Dwayne McCauley, had made the somber journey from Aspen, Colorado, arriving on the day her body was found. It was impossible for him to even visually identify her, necessitating the use of dental records. McCauley would accompany Meadows' remains to Perth for the post-mortem. The emotional burden was so profound that a compassionate flight attendant and her boyfriend offered him a place to stay, providing a brief respite before a sorrow-laden return journey to the US. In the weeks that followed, the Kimberley region experienced a surge in inquiries from the overseas tourists, drawn by a morbid curiosity towards the site of the crocodile attack. And today, some tourist guides refer to the King's Cascade as the notorious King's Cascade, marking it as an unusual point of interest for some, while others opt not to mention the incident at all. If not for the cruel twist of fate, Meadows would have been celebrating her 25th birthday on March 30th, 1987, which was tragically the very next day following her death. In the late 1980s, crocodile populations in Australia were rebounding after years of hunting had significantly reduced their numbers. Protective measures were enacted starting in 1971 in Western Australia, 1972 in the Northern Territory, and 1974 in Queensland, banning the killing of crocodiles. And this resurgence in their numbers, of course, has also led to an increase in human-crocodile encounters. And it's also worth mentioning that Ginger Meadows wasn't the only casualty during this period, as earlier that same month, Kerry McLaughlin, a 40-year-old storeman from Jabiru, was killed by a 5.1-meter crocodile while swimming across the Cahills Crossing East Alligator River at Kakadu, serving as a stark reminder of the inherent risks when humans venture into the habitats of these formidable apex predators. Because Shark Week is coming up, I did just put together a list of some of the most realistic, and I know there's not many of those out there, shark attack movies that you can catch before Shark Week 2023. You really don't want to miss that one, and if you're interested in more episodes like this, then do check out the Crocodile Attack playlist. I will leave it at the end screen of this video. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to all our patrons for your continued support.